All right, so in today's video, we're going to be changing out the factory Jayco water pump for a brand new Seaflow water pump. Now this one's a 42 series water pump. We'll go through that a little bit in more detail shortly. And also we're going to be installing an accumulator tank. Now the reason why we're changing out the water pump is there's two reasons. One, the factory one is quite noisy. Now look, yes, you are in a caravan and it's a confined sort of space. However, this one is quite particularly noisy. We've had previous issues on another caravan where we changed the water pump out for those exact same reasons, and it sort of fixed the problem. The other reason is we're getting a lot of water pulsating when we sort of don't have the tap in the fully open sort of position. So the pump will start to surge and then sort of splatters water everywhere, and it doesn't sort of make for a nice sort of experience. So we're going to be changing out the water pump. So let's take a look at what we're actually going to be installing. All right, so this is the pump we're going to be installing. It's a Seaflow 42 series pump. Now it is rated to 11.3 litres per minute, exactly the same as what we were replacing in the Jayco. Now this is the accumulator tank, so basically these will work in conjunction with each other. Now this pump is rated at 55 psi. Now that's important because when we go to set this accumulator tank up, basically it's basically a big air cushion inside the tank here, and we've got to set this 3 psi below the pump pressure for it to get it to work properly. Now when we go to install it, we're probably going to need a couple of extra fittings. So these are just the John Guest fittings when you fit the John Guest pipe into here, and we'll probably be able to reuse the existing fittings on the current pump on the new pump. So let's take a look at where we're actually going to be installing it. All right, so this is a Jayco 19.6-3. Now we have an east-west bed, and this is obviously where the water pump and hot water service is located, right underneath the bed here. So we're going to be putting the pump in the exact sort of same location as the original one. However, we're going to be installing the sort of accumulator sort of just over in this sort of region. Now the installation is pretty straightforward because they're basically the same size pump. Obviously we've just got to add a bit more extra pipe for the actual accumulator. But anyway, we probably won't show you the actual full install process because look, it's pretty self-explanatory. And if I find any issues along the way, I'll go through them. But anyway, let's take a look at the issue that we have with the water pump. And also what we'll do is we'll take some sound readings to see what the actual decibel of this pump is, and then we'll compare that to the new one. All right, so this is the issue with the current pump. So when we turn this on just a little bit, is that it will sort of surge a bit. It's not too bad at the moment because I've actually changed the tank over. But you can sort of see it's not a very nice sort of smooth sort of flow, and you can probably hear that pump in the background making quite a bit of a racket. So it sounds like a bit of a sort of a jackhammer. So you can see there, the actual pump is actually like it's only on the half open sort of position. You can see the actual amount of vibration and stuff that's going through there, and you can also hear it as well. And sometimes it'll actually get to a point where it'll actually just stop, like it just did then. There you go. So that's without even touching the tank, and then it's now restarted again. So that's the issue we're sort of experiencing. Let's take some decibel readings. All right, so now it's time to test the water pump for its decibel reading, and you'll be able to hear the noise that it produces. Now the water pump is around about 1.5 meters to sort of 2 meters away, and we've got the bed in the open position, so it's sort of obviously going to let the sound out a bit more. And then we've got the obviously the phone sitting on the bench here. So anyway, let's go turn the water pump on. And as you can sort of see there, it sort of peaked at around about that 65 and then sort of sat around that 62 to sort of 63 sort of mark. So anyway, that's a good baseline for our new pump. All right, so let's run you through the installation process. Now look, in total it took me around about 2 hours to do, and that included tightening up a little bit of this piping. Now the actual pump itself is a direct drop-in replacement, and when I mean drop-in replacement, even the screw holes line up, and same with the inlet side. Now I did have to go ahead and replace the actual this blue hose here. Now that just goes on to the outlet side of the pump, and it goes off to the kitchen and the shower. Now there is 2 wires that you do need to connect in, so that's just the positive and negative, and that just wires in directly to the existing wiring. Now the actual accumulator tank itself, I did have one issue here where the actual tank, when it sat on the floor with the pump, didn't exactly line up. Now what I mean by that is this connection here and that connection there on the actual tank weren't at the same level. So what I had to do was get a 19mm block of ply, lift that up, and now they run in a straight line. Now you're probably asking me about, well, what does the accumulator tank do? What purpose does it serve? And basically what the accumulator tank does is it holds water under pressure in the line. So what that means is that it will actually reduce the cycling time of the pump. So when we've got that pump or that tap open on halfway and we hear the pump cycling on and off, it's going to reduce the amount of times that it actually does that because the actual water line is under pressure. Not just by the pump, but by this accumulator tank. Now what that also does is it smooths out the actual water flow that comes out of the tank. Now how do we go about adjusting it? Now it's pretty simple. So it just has a bicycle valve. So just down here, we unscrew that cap and it's just a tire valve. And all we do is we need to set that pressure 3 psi below the pump pressure. Now it even says that on there, so you've got to set it 3 psi below the pump pressure. Now this pump here is rated at 55 psi, so we've set this at 52 psi, and now that gives us a nice even pressure of water. Now let's go have a look at how it performs. All right, so now it's time to give the water pump and the accumulator tank a nice test. So we'll turn this on all the way, and you can see there it's giving a nice smooth flow of water. And we'll drop that down to about halfway. You can see there. Now I can hear the pump sort of surging sort of in and out. However, we've got a nice, even, consistent water flow coming out. And we'll drop it down even further again. You can see there, again, pump is surging in and out, but it's maintaining this even water flow out of the spout. Alrighty, so now it's time to test the new pump. Now it's all installed. Let's turn the pump on and see how we go. So we can see there it's around about that 54 mark. So that is considerably quieter than the previous SureFlow. So now we've finished the decibel testing. You know, we had 62 to 64 decibels on the SureFlow and 54 decibels on the Seaflow. So look, that's 8 to 10 decibels difference. But when you're in such a small space like a caravan, it does make a huge difference. Now I can turn that tap on right now here at the sink, and I can only literally hear water. I can barely hear the pump. All right, guys, so just to prove that I'm not lying, I'll turn this tap on here, and I want you to see if you can hear the pump. Could you hear the pump? All right, there you have it, guys. There's the Seaflow 42 series water pump all installed, along with the accumulator tank. Now, I cannot recommend this highly enough. This has totally changed the way this van uses water now. Like, we don't have any more surging. It's quiet. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I don't know why Jayco don't actually do this from factory, right? Well, I know the reasons why, and that's all to do with money, right? Now, speaking of money, how much did this sort of setup cost me? I purchased from eBay, and I got it for around about 120 bucks delivered to my door, which was absolutely fantastic value. And then the accumulator tank, I think that was about 50 or 60 bucks. I'll put the prices that I paid for in the description below. But, you know, for less than 200 bucks, I've got a 100% complete brand new water pump system in my caravan, and about 2 hours of time, and it's absolutely changed the way. Now, it's not over for the SureFlow. I've actually got a couple little plans for this thing, and I'm going to make a portable water pump for a transfer bladder that we've got for when we're off-grid camping. So we do have a 140 litre bladder that we chuck in the back of the Ford Ranger, and then if we need any additional water while we're away, we can top that up and then transfer it across. Now, I don't care if it's noisy, it still works. Yeah, we're going to be doing a little bit of a build video on this. Anyway, guys, if you've got any questions or comments you want to answered about the install, please let me know below. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, because you know what, it helps the channel out and allows me to bring you content like this. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you around. Cheers.